Welcome to the Roastery. Today we're going to give you a quick demonstration on how to clean a coffee machine properly. This is probably one of the most important things about making consistently good coffee is working with nice, clean tools. There's a bit of a culture within cafes to clean the coffee machine at the end of the day. We like to clean coffee machines during the day and again at the end of the day. The group handle is made up of the basket and the handle. The handle also has a spring inside. The spring can be taken out. You don't need to take that out. You can clean the group handle and the basket without taking the spring out. And if you do take the spring out, be very careful not to lose it. Otherwise, the basket will no longer stay held within the group head. I can give you an example here of one that has got a bit of dirt inside it. This is the stuff that makes the coffee taste substandard. It's very, very easy to clean. We can rinse it under here. We can give it a wipe with a nice clean damp cloth, and all of a sudden we have a nice clean handle. The basket is pretty much the same. We can rinse it under here. Nice hot water. Give it a nice wipe. Particularly pay attention to the groove up here. It catches a lot of coffee solids. Give it a wipe. Clean it out and put it back together. What I've just done there has taken maybe 20 seconds. There's no excuse that we can't keep handles clean all the time, not just at the end of the day when we don't have customers, but throughout the day when we do have customers. It's very simple as well to take a line filter, press the continuous button on your coffee machine, fill the handle full of water, pop it on. I always use a cloth for doing this because some of the hot water will run down the handle. We can give it a wiggle, give it a good clean, flushing out that head with lots of hot water, getting rid of the majority of any coffee grinds and coffee solids that have been left behind. Again, that takes no longer than 20 seconds. I much prefer baristas to be doing it constantly during a quiet period. Any downtime that you have in the cafe, give your group head a good flush, give your handle a clean, and your coffee will taste better. At the end of the day, we tend to backwash your coffee machine. Again, we use lined. We pop it in here. Probably the most common mistake I see is people using far too much of the machine chemicals. We don't need much of these, so we use them very sparingly. Perhaps a quarter of a teaspoon is enough. The part I don't see most people doing, and it's quite a good tip, is to allow those chemicals to dissolve in the handle and to activate with the heat of the water before we use them on the machine. We then place it on here. A lot of the newer machines have an automatic setting for backwashing the heads. I'm going to do it manually just to show you how easy it is. We turn the handle on for 5 seconds. We turn it off for 5 seconds. Then we turn it on for 5 seconds. And we turn it off for 5 seconds. We repeat this 10 times. Each time we press the button, the pressure builds up on the machine to around about 9.5 or 10 bar. When we press the button to switch it off, the pressure is relieved through the back of the machine, and that's the backwashing that we're trying to achieve. When you do use machine chemicals, the very important part is then to get the chemicals out of the machine again. And we do it by repeating the entire cleaning process with clean water with no chemicals in it. So again, fill up your handle, pop it on the head, 5 seconds on, 5 seconds off. Repeat this 10 times, and that's going to flush out any of the chemicals that have left behind after the first clean. Once we've done that, I like to, at the end of a day, take my handle, I've got one here, and soak it in some hot water. And to that hot water, I can even add a little more of the chemicals. Again, a quarter of a teaspoon. We don't need a lot of chemicals. More chemicals doesn't mean cleaner handles. More chemicals, just a waste of chemicals and putting things down the drain that we don't like to put down the drain. Again, we dissolve the chemicals into the hot water, activates them, and then we can fill this up. We can soak that handle in there for half an hour while we order our milk and clean our fridges and restock the bar, all those things that we have to get done. And we can come back to these later, give them a really good rinse, and they're ready to go back on. The next part of the process is to take out the screen inside the group head that we like to take off and clean, and also clean behind it. So very simply, take a screwdriver. This little screw should never be tight. It should only really be finger tight. This screw that comes out is very, very important. I'm a big believer in putting it in something, don't lose it. The screen that we do remove is usually quite dirty. You can see inside the gaps here, there is residue from making coffees. This stuff is really not very tasty, and I don't know about you, but I don't want to eat it. So we'll make sure we clean that out every day. The easiest way, again, is to use the hot water that your machine has. Give it a really good rinse. Get the worst of it off. And then we can pop it into the chemical solution that we're already soaking the handle into. We can leave that there. At the end, all you got to do is give it a good rinse with hot water, and you can build it all back together again. When you do screw in your screw again, make sure that you don't do it tight, just with your fingers, and it'll not fall out ever. So don't worry about it falling out. The plate that it screws into is again stainless steel. Don't use a sponge or a scourer or steel wool or anything like that to clean it. Just use a damp cloth. Give it a wipe, and it'll be good as new. At this point, you have the opportunity to give the inside of that rim a nice scrub. Again, you've got hot water here in the coffee machine. I just make the brush nice and hot and clean and wet, and I pop it inside there, work it around, and that'll scrape off any of the coffee residue that's in there. And again, at the end of the whole process, we'll put our handle on and we'll give it a good wiggle, flood the whole thing with boiling water, and that will take out any of the bits and bobs that we've scratched off. Basically, doing this every single day is going to make your coffee taste better. And doing the very first clean, the hot water only, doing that every couple of hours, and your coffee will taste great all the time.